Hello everyone, this is from Fearful to Fierce again. Welcome, my name is Sarah Odogros Fortner. And the topic for today or of today is about gratitude, or rather it's lack thereof, lack of gratitude. But before we get into what I'm about to say today, let me tell you a little story. It's actually a true life story. So, as some of you know, I live in the diaspora. I'm an African in the diaspora. I live in Austria, to be precise. And recently, I went to see a friend, another African who lives also here in Austria. She had been ill for a while, for about a month. And the cause of the illness, the doctors could not or did not really know what was happening to her. And she said she went to work one day, and at the close of the work day, she was about to take off her work clothes and put on her street clothes to go home. When she bent down to put on her shoes, and she just froze. From that point on, she could not move. She said she stood there for 15 good minutes because she was in the dressing room. No one knew that she was there. They just thought she'd left. So she was there, and there was this pain just raining through her body, just searing through her entire body. And she said she started to sweat. And she was there 15 minutes later when another colleague who had come in to change to go home saw her and asked her what the problem was. To cut a long story short, this friend was rushed to the hospital, and she was in hospital for 24 hours, and she wanted to go home because she has two very young kids at home. And thereafter, it just kept going. Every 2 days she was in this pain, and they were checking. They didn't know what the problem was with her. Anyway, so I went to see her. She hobbled to come and welcome me, and I was shocked because I didn't know it was that serious. She said she had no feeling on her left leg. When she touched her right leg, she had feeling, but when she poked her left leg, nothing. She just could not feel a thing. The sensation was not quite there. And then I asked, I said, what really is the problem? And she said, nothing is the matter, my sister. And I asked, I said, gently this time, I said, what is the problem? That was when she broke down and said she has so much on her head. Apparently, one of her brothers had gone and signed some silly document without looking at it. And when they arrested him, took him to jail, and this lady had to send so much money. I don't want to even mention the sum, but even in Europe, the sum is quite substantial. So imagine in Africa, she had to pay this much money for this brother of ours to be, released from jail. The worst thing was, she told me, my sister, when this guy came out of jail, there was not even a thank you. It was as if he felt entitled to the help his sister had offered him. And she said this was not the first time things like this had happened in her home. And he had weighed her down so much. She said even when she was in Africa, while she was in Africa, she worked her bone off. She was always the one helping family members. And then when she got to Europe, even though she has two young children, she's a divorcee. She has two young kids to look after. With the little job she has, she still has to send money home. And the thing, they were receiving this money back home as if it was their due. And she had gotten so tired, the thing had weighed in on her so much that it had now affected her own body. It had now affected her body. And she almost, was becoming crippled as a result of this emotional trauma that was going on. As she was relating this story, she started to weep. She wept uncontrollably, She wept so hard, and my mind just broke. My heart basically just broke. At least 98% of us in the diaspora have experienced or are experiencing what this friend was experiencing in our own family, had experienced and was still experiencing in our family. The ingratitude of some family members who see their fellow, their family member abroad in the diaspora as ATM machine. Most of them, most of us don't mind helping our families back home. But the attitude of this family, once they get this help, is almost as if, oh, well, you went there, you are entitled to every money that you know that you give. We don't even mind helping. I have been in this situation, so I understood that very well. Like I say, I'm sure a lot of, Africans can relate to what this lady was going through, of what this lady is passing through. I can certainly relate. How you help some people and they don't even say thank you. Sometimes you don't even need their thank you. You just want them to take that help, and just not rubbish you. But these are the same people, when they take that help and maybe they keep coming back for more. And for whatever reason, God forbid you say you're not able to help them anymore. At that point, they will rubbish you from head to toe. I had to tell this lady at some point, I said, you know what? The only people that are entitled to your help are your parents and your children. Your parents, because they brought life and they brought you to life. They gave life to you. They gave birth to you. And your children, because you gave birth to them. They did not ask to be born, so you gave birth to them. Those are the two groups of people that are entitled to your help or your finances or your resources in any way. And I had to say to her, I say, you know what? This is 2025. You have to now learn to sit up and say to yourself, enough is enough. From fearful to fierce is about the focused, intentional, little actions we take day to day to become the best version of ourselves. This fellow sister was in Europe suffering, sending money back home, and they were not even appreciating what she was doing. Her brother had gone and signed some stupid document without reading it first, without reading the fine prints, and this sister of his was good enough to send her hard-earned money to take him out of jail, and he did not even have the courtesy, the decency to thank her. Rather, when he came out and demanded money from her again, and she said she didn't have, she now became his public enemy number one because she said she could not give, she didn't have more to give. So, my people, this is 2025. If people in your life are learning to despise and abuse your help, you have to learn to give value to yourself and say no, this far and no further.